Why
All right.
not?
Now streaming on YouTube. Zulma Gonzalez, this mic is all yours.
It doesn't mean anything.
I know that.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thankful Thursday to each and every only one of us. A thankful Thursday, a thankful Thursday. I'm going to need help to keep my eyes open. I have not really slept. I'm in a fog. I'm in a daze. I'm still um for the most part, have recuperated, except for don't know when to sleep and when not to because I'm on prednisone and nausea. My body is still experiencing nausea. Outside of that, all is good. All is good. All is good. All is good anyway. It's just it just doesn't always physically feel that way. um, Glad to be here. It seems like forever, and it was only 3 days ago. My gosh, I've been so busy. I've got two major projects that are due. Well, one is due Saturday, and I'm learning as I go, and um, it's consuming me. It's consuming a lot of my time, and that's okay. I like the learning of it. I promise to take a nap when I finish here today. I promise to take myself a nap because even as I was listening to Sharon and Dove, they were actually lulling me. You know, they were lulling me. I was appreciating what was being said, especially about oneness, because that's what I want to talk about today. Um, but it was actually lulling me. I said, Zuma, open your eyes, girl, open your eyes. Um, Sharon, it's good to hear your voice. Haven't heard you for a while. Glad you're here. Regis, good morning. My brother, Dove, hello. Lynn, hello. I have no idea what's going on in the Pal Talk room because I don't have Pal Talk open. And I guess I can go see. Um, Good to see you, brother. Um,
Glorian's in the room.
Glorian is in the room. My Glorian is in the room. My Glorian is in the room. Um, I connect with Glorian here a lot. Uh, and sometimes I have to recognize that she's not physically in front of me, that it's not physical. But I tune into Glorian quite a bit. Um, and I'm grateful for that because it just continues to remind me of the truth that there is only one. There's only one mind, one capital M mind. There's only one mind, and that we are all in it. We are all of it. We are all it. That's the reminder, the constant reminder. All right, let's see what's on this. Let's see what PowerPoint may have to offer us. Make sure I have the right slides up. Okay. Um, so yeah, it's been an interesting week. As most of you know, um, my sister Elena made her transition March 25th, and I was unable to go to the service because I had COVID. Or I should say my body was experiencing COVID and I couldn't go. My sister Jelly was there. My sister Jelly is now the oldest. Um, and she is the one that I have been in contact with continually for at least the last 20 years. She's the one. Um, and she was at the service. I saw a photograph of her, um, and that was good. We talk often enough, and then I get word that well, there was talk, there was some chatter about the possibility of her having cancer. My sister, she has experienced can and her body has experienced intestinal cancer a couple of times, and she's a trooper. This woman has had she you can have there's a roadmap on her body. She's been cut for so much different things going on, and I get it, I get it. But this I'm talking about her body now, um, and uh, and this time, so far, well, she's in the hospital. They say she has something called um, let's see what this term is. Her body is experiencing something called uh something something called acute myeloid leukemia. That's characterized by the rapid growth of abnormal white cells that accumulate in the bone marrow and interfere with the production of normal blood cells. So, my sister's body is experiencing a form of bone cancer. And when I first heard it, I went right into my feelings. I went right into appearances. I went right into it. I went right into the future. I went right into worry. I went right into it. Um, and I burst into tears um, and then I stopped and I came back to myself. I came back to now. I came back to the moment of truth and realized, as my niece taught me about my sister Isabel back in 2004, that she's not dying of cancer, she's living with cancer. Um, and they are waiting for results to find out if where this is, she could potentially go into remission. Because I mean, if you know, if you let her go back out the hospital, she's walking around, she's walking, she's talking, she's functional. Every now and then she'll pass out because not enough blood is flowing. But other than that, she's right on top of it. She's right on top of it, and it's that feisty. She's feisty. She's feisty, and it's that feistiness that has kept her going all this time. And I'm loving that she's insisting that I call her. I called and I prayed last night. Well, I didn't. She didn't know it was prayer. It was prayer. I prayed last night, just talking. She kept saying, she keeps sending messages for me to call her back, to call her back. So I'm making it a point to enjoy the oneness that I'm having with my sister. I intend to drive out on Tuesday to New York. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to avoid everybody. I'm not going to touch anybody. But I want to go see my sister. She's going to be in the hospital for at least a month. And that's where it's at right now. She is uh spry. She's 85, spry. And my sister Jelly, I call her Jelly. Her name is Maria. If anyone wants to take that into their affirmative praying mind, and only the affirmative praying mind, knowing the truth about her, only the truth, that she is not this body, that she is not this body, and that her mind is in charge, that the healing is only of the mind, that there is no bodily healing, it's only of the mind. So holding on to that truth, I guess it's time to share my screen. Let's see here. We're reminded weekly from Dr. Ernest Holmes that to learn how to think is to learn how to live. We are minding our mind. We are paying attention. We are working on being focused, being single-minded. What is it? That your eye has to be single. That's the way it reads in the Bible. Your eye has to be single, persistent, consistent, engaging, as the Course always says. We engage the habit of engaging with God. Be in the habit of engaging with God and realizing that you're engaging with self because that is where it is. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. Reminder that this is a course in mind training. The Course teaches us that this is a course in mind training. It's not a course in what's going on out there. It's not a course in how to treat people. It's not a course in how to behave. It's not a course in, in it's a course in mind training. And as a result of that, as a result of training your mind, then everything else just falls into place. But everything starts at the spiritual level. At the spiritual level. And because an untrained mind can accomplish nothing, willy-nilly, way to go here and there, anywhere and everywhere, an untrained mind can accomplish absolutely nothing. It's like, can you imagine, like a pool? I just thought about the pool balls. When they start the game, they put them inside of this triangle so that they can all be aligned. They can all so that everyone has the same opportunity with this when they hit that pool stick, the cue stick, the first time. But then once it's hit, the balls are scattered everywhere, and the participants, they have to look around, and they to figure out what's next and where they're going, and they have to strategize and all that. And that kind of reminds me of the ego thought system. Always trying to strategize, looking at something to be specific, and you know trying to get something that the other doesn't have. And that's what the ego thought system does. Dr. Holmes reminds us also that thoughts and things are but two ends of the same proposition, because the Course teaches that God is in everything. It doesn't just say everyone, it says everything. That's important because it is all energy. I'm talking science now. It is all energy. It's all vibrating at whatever frequency it's vibrating, but it's all energy. It's all life. It's all one. It's all united. It's all unity. It's all equal. It's all God. And I'm going to stress that over and over and over and over during this time today. Since it is impossible to stop thinking, Dr. Holmes writes, we cannot stop creating. We can't. Thoughts are always producing form at some level. Now, we call it making. This is it's all part of the creation. It becomes a part of what I make my world. Our choice is whether we shall create constructively or destructively. I'm taking a class called Unveiling Your Hidden Power by and the writer of the work is Emma Curtis Hopkins. Emma Curtis Hopkins, like Ernest Holmes and Joe Goldsmith and Emmett Fox and Charles Fillmore, all started out studying under Mary Baker Eddy, started out studying Christian Science, all of them. And that's key because I actually started looking through that book, I think it's called Science and the Key to Scripture by Mary Baker Eddy. And a lot of what we read in all of our mental science works is in there, because that's where, the original ideas came, and then everyone started branching out according to how spirit led them. But Emma Curtis Hopkins, she's famous. She was famous for this sentence: "My good is my God, my God is my good." Now, I used to say that so darn much that it was just like, it was just words, like nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. They were just words to me for a very, 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 very long time. So my good is my God and my God is my good. The other day, I'm looking at the homework assignment, and I'm saying this sentence because it was just words. My good is my God. My good is my God. And then I heard myself emphasize it differently. My good is my God. My good is my God. My good is my God. So only the good, only the pure, only the perfect, only the powerful, only the true is my God. My God, then, is my good. And it's written that all things work together in the Bible. It's written that all things work together for the good. And of course, it says all things are good. It has to be all good. If that's the word you choose, I just prefer the word is. But for the sense of making the point, all things are what God is. All things work together for God. All things work together for God because all things are God. Good and God. It's just a matter of a letter in this case. But all things work together for God, with God, in God, through God, as God, everything. everything. And that keeps tripping people up. We keep looking out there at this over there and that thing over there and what those people over there are doing and what's not happening in my life that is happening in theirs and all this stuff. We all have our own lot to till. We all have our own lot. We have to do what we have to do, and comparing myself to you won't make me you. Comparing myself to you doesn't make me better. If anything, it makes me feel worse. Even if I'm comparing myself thinking that I'm better than you, I'm still making myself feel worse because ultimately I have to think if I think that I'm better than you, then I have to also think that someone thinks they're better than me. Hmm. Uh, the ego lives by comparison. That's just the way it is. The ego lives by comparison, and only equals are at peace. Only equality, only equality, only the realization that everything simply is. It's all the same playing field. And how we play it uniquely is our own decision. Those decisions that are continuous, the choices that we continue to make. I am enjoying this ginger ale soda. I'm enjoying it. It is soothing me. I like the way it tastes. I had to stop and just do that. Oh, Glorian's in the room. I'm glad you're here. All right. So we're talking about unity. We're talking about the unity of all life. We're talking about unity. We're talking about unity. And before I go into that, the other day on Monday, I had been reading, and I finished the reading, but there was a meditation that came after it, and I'd like to read that meditation. This is by Ernest Holmes. Since God is love, and God is all in all, love must be the underlying principle of life, and therefore in all. This life is my life. This love I am. It is the very essence of my being. I know that love is harmony and peace and joy. In it is all good, all that is true, all that is beautiful. It is perfect balance, perfect poise. Love heals everything, every imperfection of mind or body or environment. Love overcomes hatred, anger, envy, criticism. Where love is, there is no room for any negative emotion. Love is the great adjuster. I empty my mind and heart of all but love. I let love express in me, through me, and flow out into my world of thought and action. I am love. I am love. That is harmony. I am love. That is peace. I am love. That is joy. I am love. That is freedom. I am love. That is wisdom. I am that love that is in all. I am love. I had pulled that one day last week and I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. So, I'm also going to read, I'm just working on awakeness today. I'm working on awakeness. I'd like to read get this straight because I have to move the screen, the Zoom screen, so it doesn't get in my way while I'm trying to read. And at the same time, I need to unshare my screen so that I can reshare my screen. I am reading from the Guide for Spiritual Living, the Science of Mind magazine, and it is this month's magazine, reading from this month, actually, from the reading on April 7th. The readings are by a gentleman who's named Sorensen. Sorensen is his last name. I can't think of his first name at the moment. I'll bring it up though because I don't like to read up people's works without acknowledging who they are. That's being in integrity, and that's honoring people's copyright. Before pain prevails, there are two quotes. A total acceptance of yourself brings about a total transcendence of yourself. And that's what Dr. Holmes says when he says to change your thinking. If you want to change your thinking, if you want to change your life, you have to change your thinking. He says, change your thinking, change your life. But before you can do that, you have to accept where you are. If I'm constantly berating myself, the word I heard from Emma Curtis Hopkins, accusing myself. If I'm constantly accusing myself of different things, of this being wrong with me and that being wrong with me, and or from the past even, if I keep on bringing that up, I keep on bringing it up, and I keep on bringing it up, can't go away. I want it gone. I want everything that used to hurt, I don't want it anymore because I realized that I was causing it myself. I am cause and I am effect. A total acceptance of myself as cause, a total acceptance of myself as the effect brings about a total transcendence of myself because then I can release the effect and focus on cause and experience the engaging with God, that oneness, that peace, where I can remember to seek first the kingdom, and that is me, and it is what I am, and that's how the transcendence comes. And that's by Adaya Shanti. And the second quote is by Ernest Holmes from the Science of Mind textbook, page 164. In treatment, that is affirmative prayer, in spiritual mind treatment, we call it. In spiritual mind treatment, it's a spiritual mind treatment. It's prayer. It's prayer to know the truth about whatever the situation is. In treatment, we turn entirely away from the condition because as long as we look at it, we cannot overcome it. That's what I just said. As long as we keep focusing on the same old stuff and how it used to be, and yeah, I remember when, even if, I'm claiming I forgave it, but if I'm claiming I forgave it, then why am I still talking about it? I'm claiming I forgave that. Oh yeah, that's gone a long time ago, but I'm still talking about it. Then apparently it's not forgiven because to forgive is to overlook, and once you overlook it, it's gone. But I'm holding on to this thing, so I haven't really forgiven it. And I keep bringing it up, and then I keep wondering why other things keep jumping into my life. I'm not getting the results in life that I want because I keep blocking it, keep blocking my love. Anyway, before pain prevails. When challenges hit, a frightening prognosis delivered, an accident happened, a betrayal realized, or a war thrust upon us, this is the time to pray. The course in the course workbook lesson, right before workbook lesson, right after workbook lesson 50 in review 1 reminds us, oh my God, I just found something I was looking for in my course book. It's scared myself. It says this is the time to pray when things happen. In the course it teaches in review 1 In paragraph 4, it says, learn to require no special settings in which to apply what you have learned. You will need your learning most in situations that appear to be upsetting, rather than in those that already seem to be calm and quiet. And that's exactly what this gentleman is saying. When those things happen, those things that we don't want to happen, that's the time to pray. It is too easy, he continues, to be caught up in the shock of it all, particularly if the world points you in the direction of a particular action. You must remember to go to God first. I have a t-shirt with bling, a blingy t-shirt. I don't usually do the bling, but I like it. It says, hold up, let me ask God first. Hold up, hit the brake. Let me ask God first. Let me check with my creator. Let me check with my source, because it's the source. Susan Michelle, she says, plugging into the God source. If I'm not plugged into my God source, then I think I'm alone. I feel separated. I feel separate from everything and everybody. So wait, hold up. Let me go to God first. And he continues, let God be your first choice and action. There's a good one. Let God be your first choice and action. Don't run around thinking about, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I have no idea how I'm going to fix this. Oh, I have this problem. Oh, I can't, I don't know what to... Let God be your first choice. Oh, I see there's something in the chat. Let me not go too much further and let get things away from me. Oh, thank you, and thank you. I'm okay. I appreciate that. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. What's going on is going on. It's just life happening. I am grateful for your sentiment. But I'm not sorry. I'm living in love, I'm living in truth, and I'm living in the moment. I'm living in the moment. I'll get off the phone with you. I mean, I'll get off of here with you all. I can pick up the phone and call my sister. So I mean, like I've done before. Doesn't matter that she's in the hospital now. I know I can get to her because she can't run around. Yeah, Glorian, come on.
Good morning, Zulma. Good morning, everyone. Yes, and you requested before, and we certainly are standing with your sister in oneness. Now, we were talking about something, and it came to me, this quote from Joel. The harmony of your being is already stored within you, and you have only to bring it forth from within you into fullness of expression, not try to add it to yourself from the outside. And that's what you were talking about, that we have to seek God first and remember to go within. And in that I am withinness is all the harmony that we are looking for. Thanks.
Thank you. Everything that we could possibly want, everything that we could possibly desire, we already have. Having and being are one is the way the Course teaches it. Having and being and having are one. One. What part of that? One. Can't say that enough. Because when it hit me, it can't unhit me. It can't unhit me. I have to remember my oneness. I have to. That's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me from being lonely. That's what keeps me from feeling like a victim. The power of the universe is what I am. It flows through me. I live in it, move in it, and have my being in it. The power, not a power, not some power, as Dr. Ernest writes, but the power flows through me. Is the kingdom. That's where the kingdom is found. Okay. Listen and look for your guidance, because it will always be there. The divine has not abandoned you. though it may seem like it at the time. You always can choose to turn your attention to a higher way of seeing. What do we say in the course? But I want to see this differently. I want to see this differently. I can see peace instead of this. There's another way of looking at the world. You always can choose to turn your attention to a higher way of seeing. Remember, no matter what, you always have a choice. Yes, we choose again, and we choose again, and we choose again. When you are unable to lift your head above the fight of despair, this is the time to turn to a spiritual practitioner. I heard Sharon use the word light worker. This is the time to turn to a spiritual practitioner. I appreciate people like Glorian who are constant. They're very consistent. They're not wasting time criticizing this over here or that over there. I mean, I'm sure that there are moments in her own mind by herself that a thought might come, but because of the practice, we know how to turn that around as quickly as possible. But that consistency, to me, Glorian is a perfect example of a spiritual practitioner. This spiritual warrior knows God is there for you. They commit their lives to knowing God no matter what. There we go. We're talking about engaging again. We're committing my lives to knowing God, because to know God is to know ourselves. That's what the course says, that the goal of the course is to know thyself. The goal of the curriculum is to know thyself. And the only way to know thyself is to recognize and realize what God is. That's what we are. The only way I can know myself is to know God. The only way I can know God is to know myself, because it's one. I cannot be separate from it. To have someone speak your name aloud to you, to know your spiritual truth in prayer, is an amazingly transformative experience that reverberates through your body, mind, and soul. And what he's talking about here, when religious science practitioners pray, and I suspect some other practitioners too, I don't know, but when religious science practitioners pray, we are not praying to you. We are not praying for you. We pray about you. We pray about knowing the truth. We pray, actually, the prayer is for me to know the truth about you. It's not, I'm not praying for you. I'm not praying, for your conditions to change no. Conditions are effects. Isn't that what the course teaches? There's no point trying to change the world, because it's only an effect. I'm not trying to change conditions. And Dr. Ernest said in the quote, we turn away from conditions. We turn away from the temporary. We turn away from that, and we focus on the eternal. We focus on the truth. We focus on that love. We focus on what we call God, and recognize that is here, and right now, always safe, guarded, protected, loved, shielded. There's nothing that can separate us from the love of God. We can rest in God. Nothing. So anyway, when we pray, what I was saying is, when we pray, if I'm praying, I am speaking your name. I am knowing this truth about so and so. I'm not saying to the person, I know this truth about you. That's a conversation. That's back and forth conversation. No. This is me with me, knowing the truth about you. You just happen to be here hearing it, but I'm knowing the truth about you. So that's what it means that you hear your name being called aloud, because I'm say if it's Sharon, I am knowing the truth about Sharon. I am, I'm recognizing that Sharon, whatever, however that prayer is coming out based on whatever it is that the person is requesting. And even then, we look at what it is they're requesting, and we assure ourselves that we turn it into an affirmative, because it's usually somebody saying, oh, I don't have this. Oh, this thing is lacking in my life. I mean, first of all, if they came to me in the first place, is because they're feeling a sense of lack. They feel something is missing, and they need assurance. I got a phone call just last night, as a matter of fact. An individual who, what their mindset was in lack, it was in a sense of lack. And we brought it on home. We brought it right home. We brought it on home to the truth of who the individual is and what the individual is. And I love that Gloria made a point to put in the chat when I was talking about judgment, because we all do. She says, absolutely, I have judgment. I'm not perfect, but I have disciplined my mind and I'm devoted to living it the best I can. This is why I refer to this woman as a spiritual practitioner. She says, the goal is to get the ego out of the way so we can hear the voice for God. See, that's a spiritual practitioner. I call the right name. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Come on, Gloria.
Oh, thank you so much, dear Zulma. And the idea is that we recognize that anything that comes through of good is not of the ego. It's not of ourself. And that's why the practice is to get out of the way and make the room to listen to that still small voice. So ultimately, we're all the same and we all can do it. It just takes devotion and dedication and commitment to changing your mind. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why I'm appreciating this course, this Emma Curtis Hopkins course. And I had to read Emma when I was studying for my license. And I have taught not this particular class, but a class that includes some of Emma's teachings. That doggone my good is my God is my good. I got tired. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't, that's the only thing I equated with her. And it was yesterday that the emphasis on the wording changed and I was able to understand it. My good is my God. My good is my God. My God is my good. It just feels so differently to me. And interestingly enough, this morning I was doing something and I kind of like was half-hearted doing it, and I heard myself stop and say, "Wait, my good is my God." So that made me step up my own game in that moment. And something as simple as that. I'm loving this. I'm loving it because it's giving me an opportunity to see things differently. To step up my own game, to start to look at some of my own thinking where I've not been, giving myself the best I can give to myself, where I've been living in not living in my majestic self. Oh, but my good is my God. My good is my God. All right. So it says, they commit their lives to knowing God no matter what. To have someone speak your name aloud to you, to know your spiritual truth in prayer is an amazingly transformative experience that reverberates through your body, mind, and soul. To believe someone is praying for you even when you are not present, because we continue to do that. It's not just because you called me and you asked for prayer just now, and and I took time to pray with with you and all that. It doesn't stop there. I'm continuing to hold you in consciousness. I'm holding you in consciousness, remembering that oneness, remembering that your wholeness. I'm holding on to that. See, we have to remember that everything is energy and it's vibrating. This vibration, this vibration. This vibration. So even after you've gotten off the phone, it continues to vibrate. What's happening with me is continuing to vibrate. I don't just get off the phone and say, okay, that was that. Let me go back. No. I need a moment just to calm down myself, because it the spirit takes over. It's what Gloria said. I get out of the way. But it blows my mind. I can say it today. I used to say that and feel almost like I was bragging. Like I was bragging. It's interesting talking to someone who asks me, well, what do you mean by that? um, and depending on their tone when they ask the question determines how far in I'm going to go. Because there are people who ask the question because they don't know, are and feel less than because they don't know. Which means that if they're feeling less than, then they're trying to then they think that that I'm feeling more than. So it really depends on the tone. Of course, you can't say everything to everyone or at any time. You just can't. You just can't. Um, you know, Spirit meets me right where I am. Spirit meets me as I am, and it's my role, my decision to do that with and for everyone as best I can, as often as I can, and be receptive, to be open, to keep my heart open. Um, Karen Drucker has a song which comes on, which is one of my alarms. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. And people come to me. Oh, I have the greatest mail carrier, by the way. He is just the kindest, sweetest young man. People on the block are talking about him. What I'm attracting. Somebody the other day, two women stopped their car to talk about Lovable. Of course, he's lovable. Lovable is lovable. So, and he's, for anybody who's interested, here he is, right. Oh, he just moved. Oh, he moved, but he's right here. He's right there. He moved his head, so you can't see him now. That's what I'm talking about it. But yeah, these two women, oh, he's so cute. And then they heard my story, and one woman almost started crying, and the other woman was telling me how she just gave away a dog 11 months ago. And oh my God, it's just, and I love it. I absolutely love it. These people help make my day. They make my day brighter. They help me. It just keeps going around, and that energy is vibrating. It's just vibrating, and I'm attracting to myself what I'm putting out. And realizing today that I am putting it out, that spirit is doing the work, but it's not me, but that which dwells in me is doing the work. It's not me. It's not me. I get out of the way. There's a song. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. Just get out of the way. And it's such a freeing experience. Mm, mm, mm. To believe someone is praying for you even when you are not present helps activate a healing strength you could not muster otherwise. The Course teaches us that we're doing this together. We're doing this together. We don't save ourselves alone. It's not possible to do it alone because we're not alone. Nothing is of itself. Nothing. There's no such thing as by myself. There's no I'm all alone. All by myself, all by myself. Oh God, no. No, there's no such thing as God. And so it's not God over there and me over here. So how can I be alone? I cannot be alone. I read a sentence by Emma Curtis Hopkins. She said, I am my own understanding of what God is. That wowed me. I am my own understanding of what God is. Ponder that. All right, to continue and conclude this reading, life challenges happen. And when they do, remember to pause before the pain prevails and connect with a higher power. Connect with your God, connect with your source, connect with the truth, connect with the kingdom, turning entirely away from the condition. There's nothing outside of you, nothing outside of you. The Course reminds us over and over again, there's nothing out there that can hurt you, nothing out there that can make you happy. Nothing out there, nothing, because there is nothing out there. It's all right here. The kingdom is right here. This is the kingdom I have to rule right here. Right here. And the affirmation, I always remember to go to God first. Now I want to find out. I'm going to drop the share so I can find out and tell you who the author is, because I don't want to let that get by me. That would not be cool. That would not be cool. The gentleman's name is, I can put him on the screen. I'm going to share screen again for the sake of doing this right. He is Reverend, trying to bring this up, Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen. And he was raised in religious sciences. Both of his parents were religious scientists, and he ended up becoming a minister as well of religious science. But anyway, that passage, and one for every day of the month of April. You can purchase that magazine. Oh, well, shameless plug. You can purchase the magazine online, Guide for Spiritual Living, Science and Mind magazine. You just type in Science and Mind magazine. You can get it as an online subscription. You can get it as a subscription that comes to your house, and they have two months in one magazine. So you're looking at, March was facing this way, and when you turn it upside down, you had April facing the other way. So that quote, that passage was from Reverend Dr. Sorensen, Christian Sorensen. Okay. So as I said, I want to harp on oneness today. And I need this for myself, actually, because it's important to me to not attempt to separate myself or to separate others and their experiences as different and special and painful. So I'm doing this for me. Just so you know, I'm doing this for me. I'm going to share my screen again. So the word oneness, see, I can make this a little bigger for you all. The word oneness appears 76 times throughout the course, which isn't a lot. The word one is in there a lot. One with is in there a lot. Oh, one with is in there 2,200 and some odd times, where the word one is in there 2,200 plus times. But it could be, how the word one is used isn't always in the context that we need it. But anyway, but the word oneness appears 76 times in the course, and I have not read all 76 of these. Just some and that stood out for me, and we'll talk about them as we go along. But it starts out. This is. I attend a study group on second and fourth Monday, and he refers to this course as a course in oneness, and he has a blog. Ken Davis is his name, and he has a blog, a oneness blog, Course in Miracles oneness blog, and every day he gives a sentence or two based on the workbook lesson that includes the word oneness. That's about oneness. And I took to that. I took to that. It was on my mind, and I figured anyway. So Ken Davis, if you're interested in oneness blog, only the oneness of knowledge is free of conflict. Oneness, only the oneness of knowledge. We have to be single-minded. We have to be on the same plane, on the same track, on the same page. And unless we are, if I think that my page is the right page and your page isn't, you're too slow, or you're too fast, or you're too this, or you're too that, and I'm comparing everything, then we can't be free of conflict. There has to be conflict if that's the case. Healing is a thought by which two minds perceive their oneness and become glad. Two minds perceive their oneness. It's interesting, being here on Pal, being when we're Pal Talk, and people that I've never physically met, and how we're all family here. There's some connections, and that's normal. That's normal. That's not saying that that we're not all connected. We're all one, but sometimes just maybe I see Gloria's hand. Maybe she can explain it. Go, Gloria.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for this morning, Zulma. And it's for you, but it's for all of us, because oneness, the experience of oneness, is the miracle. And that's what we're seeking here. And, to perform miracles is to heal with truth. And we can only heal in the acceptance of our identity as one. When you were speaking before, it was coming through to me. And in joining, we think of fusing our minds together. But in the Christ mind, there's no need for fusing or joining. It's that experience of God. God is inseparable. So I need do nothing ultimately but surrender that perceiving mind, the ego, and the idea of linear time, and open up to the truth. And a couple of lessons back, he was saying the truth corrects all errors in my mind. The truth is everywhere forever, just waiting on our welcome. I mean, as many times as you read these lessons, and I've been reading them for many years, but that just came out at me. The truth is everywhere forever. And that's the oneness. So thanks so much.
Thank you. That's refreshing. That's refreshing. And it has to be. It's all God. It's all God. Just another synonym, as my friend Sarah, the word Sarah says, Reverend Sarah Bowen, she says that the word God is a placeholder for everything. It's everything. It's everything. It's always. It can't. It doesn't. Truth is not frail. The Course teaches. Truth is not frail. It doesn't. To toss and blow. That's the foundation. The sonship is where the one that, the whole sonship, to bring it back into the oneness in which it was created, to bring it back into the oneness in which we. So, and Gloria just said, need do nothing. We're not talking about physically doing something. I don't have to run out here and grab somebody's hand and say, come on, let's be one. Come on, let's be one. No. That's already a realization for me. It's a realization for me. I've had too many experiences. It could be something as simple as this dog who's really suffered some trauma. I'm clear that he's showing me that he has some anxiety things going on. And I needed him like he needed me. That of all the people that he was just following behind, that he would stop and come in front of me and put his paw on my thigh and look into my eyes. He didn't do that to anybody else out there. He did it to me. The one mind, and the one mind. That which is God in this dog knew that the help that he would need, the physical help that he would need, would come from me, that I would have that compassion. I didn't even know it because I haven't had a dog since I was a teenager. So it wasn't a plan. I didn't go out planning to bring home a dog. I was on my way to a seafood restaurant that I still haven't had a chance to try. But it's but all the time I'm getting something as simple as the four women in a five women in a circle, and four of them get COVID. Well, five of us, but the four of the five in the circle got COVID. It's just the breathing of the air. It's all vibrating energy. The just the air. It's connected. Why is that so hard to see? Why is that so hard to see? It is so. I want to jump on a roof and shout. This connection that my life is perfect, that I am whole, that me shooting on it and me wishing about it and fantasizing is what makes me miserable. That's where my pain comes. The Course teaches that fantasy is a distorted form of reality. It's trying to distort reality, a distorted form of reality. That's what fantasy is, making up stuff and then getting upset about what I make up. Now you must be vigilant. I'm gonna stop. Now you must be vigilant to hold its oneness in your mind, because if you let doubt enter, you will lose awareness of its wholeness. Be vigilant to hold oneness in your mind. Let me see if I can make this. Let me do this. This one, this got me. This is important. Be vigilant to hold oneness in your mind. Be vigilant to hold oneness in your mind. Maybe I'll make it bold. Is that not what we're taught? To be vigilant, to not let our mind wander, not let it wander, to recognize God always. Be vigilant to hold oneness in your mind. That's the practice. That is the practice. That is the practice. We get these lessons every day, and I'll admit that there are times when I read the lesson, I put the book down, and I keep walking because I've had something else I have to do. And then later on, I'm like, what was that lesson? And I go back. I do. I go back. And realize that I may have been applying it, but not consciously. Not consciously. Not vigilantly. I have to be vigilant. Be vigilant to hold oneness in your mind, because if you let doubt enter, you will lose awareness of its wholeness. And that is key. That is key. That stood out for me. That stood out for me. I'm going to end up putting these on a slide later. I just went and grabbed all the oneness passages from the Course, just grabbed them all. The oneness of the Creator and the creation is your wholeness, right there. The oneness of the Creator and the creation is your wholeness. I'll say it again. Grab it. The oneness of the creator and the creation, of you, me, and our creator, is our wholeness. I am whole. I am complete. And that's what being perfect means. I am whole. I am missing, I am lacking nothing. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be. I am perfect just the way I am. And I don't have to criticize myself and tell myself that I'm not this or I'm not that, comparing myself to somebody else. Go ahead, Gloria.
Wow, this is so powerful this morning. Thank you so much. And if you put it to slides, please share them with me. When you were talking about fantasy, when we look at fantasy, it's always a desire. And that fantasy is the interference that we place on the reality that's always there. So when we're fantasizing and we have desire of some sort, it's to make the ego special or make it safe, which is all the same thing, the idea of specialness. But when we recognize that any attraction to specialness, whatever form it might take, the special love-hate relationship, the idols that we seek to make us feel better or good about ourselves, when we recognize that any attraction to specialness, behind it is that miracle impulse, which is the desire and the attraction for the oneness and the wholeness of God, the Christ. So if we could just take the time and recognize that when we're in this space of the ego desiring, I need this or I want that, and again, coming back to making that space, Holy Spirit, help me see this differently, and moving it into that place of true perception, that behind that desire is my desire for oneness, wholeness, and the beingness of the Christ that I am. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. You have no idea how much that helped me. Yes, I'm taking notes. Thank you. Absolutely. Because I'm one of those, I have been one of those people who have used material things to soothe me, and to the point where they don't soothe. The desire to buy them is still there, and sometimes I'll get a book on Kindle instead of buying the physical book. Although just some physical books I have to have in my hand, it just feels that way. It feels like I have to. It feels like, see, and that's that with that getting mechanism, that I gotta have more. That this completes me. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. I own a whole lot of books. Have I read them all? No. Does that make me what? Makes me what? That doesn't make me anything but a book buyer. A book buyer. I'm just collecting books. I just got two from Joe Goldsmith. Um uh The Heart of Mysticism, a couple of them. One of the different, anyway, and I flipped the pages, but it and the teachings. Go ahead, Gloria, go ahead, because I'll go ahead.
No, that was by mistake, but The Heart of Mysticism, those books are the Infinite Way letters, and they're tremendous. So those are some of my favorites, especially the volume 6, the 1959 letters. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm buying the right books, but does that matter if I don't read it? And am I expecting that this book is going to be the one? No. This book, the information in this book. No. This teacher, this one. No, that one. I make myself crazy, especially if the teachings don't match. And there's always, I mean, we all communicate, we express ourselves differently. We communicate the same way because only minds can join, but we communicate the same way. But the way that Joel Goldsmith, for example, perfect example, the way he expresses himself is just so clear and plain to me. Now, granted, I had to read Ernest Holmes first to be able to get to understand what Joel is saying, the message. I understand Joel's message because I understood it from Ernest Holmes. And then seeing how their teaching, how it incorporates, I incorporate it with the course, because that's always has always been my first go-to, incorporating it and taking that which is for me, because everything, it's not always all in the 12-step program. They say take what you need and leave the rest. It's not all for me. There's a whole lot of pages in all these books. Go ahead, Lynn.
Geez, yeah, this is great. You know, just to this point about the sameness and the differences, we're only being asked to look for the sameness. We're not being asked to look for the differences. Jesus doesn't say, make everything different this year by looking for everything that's different. He's saying, make this year different by looking for what's the same. And you know, we had this the other night. We were talking about the age of the heart on our Tuesday evening meeting, and you know, I found, well, first off, I found myself when I first heard of the book, and you know, thought, I was like, oh well, it's not a Course of Miracles, and it's saying things about things that are going to happen in the future, and I had all these ideas. I was looking for all the differences. How is this not the same? And you know, that's not what Jesus asked me to do. He asked me to look for how it is the same. So I started looking at that, and then we were talking about it in our group, and you know, there were a lot of folks that were not opposed to it, but just questioning, you know, why are we talking about this, because it's telling us this and that. And you know, and I realized, well, a couple things. One was that I had personal ideas and thoughts about, you know, one of the people that was involved in the publishing of this book, and so I had let those thoughts and ideas bleed into my opinion, and you know, there again, looking for differences, you know, looking for how is this different, you know, this is what I love about this thing you're doing, Zoma. You're saying, let's see what is the same here. Let us look for the sameness here. And the differences are, it's all words. These are words, and this is language, and language is imperfect. It is a symbol of symbols. Words just, they can have, you know, a dozen different meanings. One word can have, you know, look at your dictionary. How many words do you have in the dictionary that only have one meaning? There's hardly any. They all have different meanings. So how, you know, how I can look at any part of it and say, you know, well, it's not valid because it's different, is exactly the opposite. I'm being asked to look for where it's the same. Anyway, just had a thought. I'd have to bring that up and turn it back to you, Zulma.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I have to admit that I had been wanting to introduce religious science, you know, the mental science for a long time, and I wouldn't, because I didn't want the backlash of, wait a minute, but he's talking about the world, and you know, he's talking about, you know, that it's God in form and all that. I said, well, that's not the way the Course teaches. I'm not going to hear all that. And then here comes Glorian with Joe Goldsmith's work. And it was just confirmation of what I had been wanting to do all along, and I appreciate it. Because it is, if there's no such thing as God, then what? And if the mind with which I think is God's mind, then what? All thoughts produce form at some level. It's just a matter of understanding what's temporary and what's not. That's really what it's all about. It's not that this, you know, you tell me, you know, if I said to you, yeah, I'm going to take this dog and throw him out the window, you'd be like, oh no, but that's not real. Well, that's bull. You know what I mean? That whole thing about what's real and what's people all the time. Oh, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. Real enough till it's not. Until it's not. Go ahead, Gloria.
Thanks so much for that, Zoma. And yeah, that's it with Joel's teachings, where you brought that up. It's all God, no and. There's a whole chapter on that, a whole section on that. And when we were talking about the different disciplines and what have you, we compare things to bring it together. That's like why I practiced the Course and Infinite Way simultaneously for 30 years. And we would compare to bring together. Contrast is pulling things apart or separating them. So the whole idea is, for me, the main goal of this course is inner peace, and we find that through our communication link with the Holy Spirit. So when we're listening to our inner guide, it's fail-proof. And, I like what you said also, because that's always how I present. If you like what I say, take it and make it yours. If you don't, leave it out. And I don't have investment in that, and neither should anyone else, because if we are truly listening to the Holy Spirit, then that's the trust. So we trust that whatever's coming out of our mouth is the right thing. And, the ego can come in and analyze that and say, oh, we've spoken about this at other groups, and, oh, my hair looked a mess, or da, 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 da. But that has to really be dropped, and recognize that if you are asking, you're receiving, you're listening to the higher self, then whatever comes through is perfect. And we just go with that. But the whole idea of comparing and contrasting, so I think at this point, we all want God so much, it's enough. So whatever makes things, the commonplace, the same, is what we're looking for. Anything else, just drop it, leave it out. So all things work for good. And Jesus tells us that all beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. So regardless of what book it is that we're reading, what it is that we're doing, I make no judgment on what anyone is doing, because if it's serving them, then that's perfect. And ultimately, I recognize that everything's a projection of my own mind anyway. So if I have a judgment against it, then I have to look at what that's saying to me. Thanks.
Everything is a projection of my own mind. Grab that one. Take it with you. Stuff it in your everything. Put it in your soup, your cereal. Everything is a projection of my own mind. Who am I to tell you that you're right? Who am I to tell you that you're wrong? Who am I to judge you? Who am I? In the Course, it says the tremendous peace, it says, the tremendous peace that comes with meeting yourself and your brothers without judgment. And how you lose who you are or lose who they are simply by judging them. Because now I've defined you. I've defined myself. The infinite. How can you define the infinite? How can you confine eternity? Imposible. Absolutamente imposible. And yes, just reiterating what Gloria said, and she said it here, we compare to bring together. Contrast pulls things apart. Separate, yes. Yes. We're just finding our way, navigating our way for the betterment, for the betterment, for the betterment, not to criticize it. Oh, this over there and that over. No, I can't read that because, oh my gosh, I just learned recently about, what's her name? That does the work. Byron Katie. Same stuff. And I was talking to someone who was certified to do the work, is what it's called. And I gained a tremendous release just based on the exchange that we were having. I hadn't even planned on, this was not a, go in and pay for a session and planned. No. See, this is what I mean by the one mind. This is what I mean. I started out talking about one thing, and next thing I know, I was in a space, and and in tears and and everything else. I had to purge all that stuff, and I was able to purge all that stuff, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah, Gloria.
Yeah, that was wonderful, Zoma. What you said there was really basically saying what Joel talks about, resist not. And because what we resist establishes us as an ego, and then we miss the grace and the love that can be behind that concept. So that'll tie back into the Course in Miracles and the teacher of God's open-mindedness. Now, that's not to say that everything will resonate with you. And if you're moving to contemplative meditation and are listening to that inner voice, and your guidance is to do something or to not do something, that's perfectly fine. But ultimately, the judgment is relinquished upon others doing it or whatever have you, because that's investment. That's being invested in the outcome of something. So we come to this practice where it's you and God, the higher self, and your communication link to God. And that's where we find the inner peace. That's really the only way. And Jesus tells us in the book that that's our escape from here, is to rely upon, spirit totally, like Dove always says, to move into that space. And in the Leave Your Nets book, he talks about that. Do not rely upon person, place, or thing. Place your trust totally into spirit. Now, that's real. If you really take a look at that, it's tough. But of course, if you don't feel comfortable with doing it, like when that comes to, taking the magic or whatever have you, you're listening to that inner voice. You're going with what your instinct, your guidance, you're being led to what's right for you. And ultimately, it doesn't matter whether or not you do take the magic, because that's seemingly in this perceptual mental realm of existence. None of that matters. There is no good, there is no bad. The idea is beyond that concept is the light. So our goal is to move into that space where we allow our consciousness to unfold to the point where we are ready to just say, okay, I know this totally. I know I am one. I know I am the Christ totally. Then I'm in trust. But until when we have that doubt, which is the temptation that comes into our mind of the ego, then we have to choose again. So it's all perfect. And it's all, once we start to take responsibility for sight, our life becomes a lot easier. Thanks.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. We have to take responsibility for sight. And it doesn't matter how long you've been reading the books either. But you got to practice. You got to practice. This is a course in mind training. And all learning requires study at some level, requires attention at some level. It's a course in mind training. It is a course in mind training. You got to be willing to put in the work, because what's that section about means and ends? You want the end, but you don't want to do the means. And the course says, why don't you just admit that you're inconsistent? When I first read that, I wanted to slap the book in its face. Inconsistent, because it was true. I wanted this, but I didn't want to do that for it. Come on. All right. That inconsistent. My goodness. Thank you very much. I was steep into the course at that point. There was no way I was going to couldn't turn away. I couldn't turn away. Extension is the result of oneness. Holding unity together by extending the joint will. Extension is the result of oneness. So I was talking about, grabbing somebody's hand, not physically, but from in here, to reach out and bring you into myself, or to reach out and give myself to you, to almost tether. But I'm talking spiritually. I'm not talking about that you complete me stuff. But to recognize that there's that golden thread, as Dr. Holmes says, that golden thread that spreads through all of it. It is just all one connection. And how could it not be? How could it not be? And in realizing that, how can we continue to just sabotage ourselves and others? How can that be? There came a point. There's okay, and even with this thing with the shopping thing, it's something happened to me over the last few days that I'm seeing it differently. I had this because I couldn't understand. I could not understand. You know, you hear they say that people who gather things that they feel like they're lacking in some way. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what that was. I couldn't see it. And then I saw it. Just in the last couple of days, 2, 3 days, I saw it. I mean, whoa, something changed. And then came these words, my good is my God. My good is my God. My highest and my best is my God. Not the books, not how many, not the stuff, not how long I can sit here and talk, not the dog, not my sister, not all these things. I cannot judge by appearances because everything I see with the physical eye is temporary. And if I attempt to tether myself to that, then I am saying that's a body, I'm a body, and then the permanence of it doesn't happen. And now I'm feeling like I've been failed by my idol. Is that not what idols are? Idols are things that we attempt to substitute for God. Attempting to substitute for God. You're trying to substitute what's not what's not permanent for something that is. What? What? How is that possible? For something that is, and it can't be done. It can't. It can't. You will fail, and that's how the course reads. You know, it will fail. It will fail every time. Idols have to fall. They can't last. They're not supposed to last because they're made up. God's oneness and ours are not separate. I'll repeat that. God's oneness and ours are not separate because his oneness encompasses ours. I'm going to take the masculine terms out of here for a minute. Life's oneness and ours are not separate because life, the oneness of life, encompasses our oneness. The Spirit of God breathes me. The Spirit of life breathes me. I am because the all is. Period. God's oneness and ours are not separate because his oneness encompasses ours. Not separate. The name of God's Son, whatever name you give it, you, me, call a name. The name of God's Son is one. Because the names that we're using, the Zulma and that's not what we're talking about here. Let's take the word. I'm going to check the word spirit. I'm going to choose that word. I'm going to take the word spirit. The name of God's Son, which I'm calling spirit. What's the name of God's Son? Spirit is one. And you are enjoined to do the works of love because we share this oneness. Spirit, spirit, spirit. I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm not trying to change anything to be something that it's not. Just spirit. In a state of grace forever. Spirit is my eternal reality. And Ernest Holmes wrote that spirit is changeless reality. Spirit is changeless reality. You can't do anything to make it go away. You cannot not have life. You are life. You are life. Wow. What is there to complain about? Oneness cannot be divided. Simple. Oneness cannot be divided. Simple. You can't divide it. Oh, speaking of division, I'm going to change the subject for a minute. I'm going to change the subject altogether for a minute. I was listening to a speaker the other day, a gentleman who has 97 patents, and you can't get a patent unless what you're talking about is proven. He's very much very scientific and very logical. And he was talking about the mathematical equation that we have been taught. I'm going to bring this down because I'm going to probably end here. We have been taught that 1 times 1 equals 1. That's what we've been taught. But if you're multiplying, I'm doing mathematics now. I'm not talking about, I'm in a tangible space here. If you're multiplying, then there has to be increase. Because when you're multiplying 1 times 1, you're not multiplying it by itself. You're multiplying it by another 1. So if you if you have an apple 1 and I multiply it by 1, we now have 2 apples. I would love to hear somebody argue that, but not now because it's too close to my end time. But give it some think about that. It made sense to me, which means that our mathematical system is flawed. But why not? Humans did it. It's a human thing. All right. Eddie Watkins Jr. I'm not going to have time to play a song, but he has a song that's titled and very very appropriate, that I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves, and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Thank you, family, for being the place where God shows up here today with me. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon. I'll see you on Monday. Love you. Lynn,
Thank you,
here's the mic.
Zulma. Thank you, Zulma. Love you.
Thank you so much.
Very sweet.
Beautiful, powerful session. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Lynn, mic's all yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Zulma. And so grateful to have you here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, talking to us about
Nope, Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays and Thursdays. I'm sorry. Mondays and Thursdays, talking to us about A Course in Miracles and Science of Mind, and putting all things together and not separating. We are joining. So